Hello everybody, this is Pitchgold back here, and welcome to what is probably going to be like the grand juggernaut of my 3-year celebration videos. A top 10 Doctor Who original classic series books. This is going to be a list which I'm going to be taking a look at my top 10 favourite Doctor Who original novels. So, and just to keep this list interesting, I'm not going to be including the target novelisations, and I'm also not going to be including anywhere on this list the new series books, just to keep this video interesting and stuff, because I know not everybody is interested in the target novelisations and the new series books. So this is going to be a completely 100% original fiction classic series Doctor Who books list. So without further ado, let us begin at number 10. Oh, and the way I'm going to be structuring this video is that I'm going to go through the first 5 books, like number 10 to number 6, and then I'm going to be going through some honourable mentions, and then it's going to be number 5 and down to number 1. So without further ado, let us begin this top 10 video with number 10. One thing I would also like to mention for this top 10 video is that apologies if some of the some of the sections in this video are kind of vague as to why I like the books. That is simply because I've only been reading Doctor Who books since 2014, and there is so many that I want to read, and because of that, the majority of my collection I have only read once each. Well, the majority of the Doctor Who books that I have read only once each, so there is going to be a lot in this video that I have only read once each, so apologies if some of the sections in this video are going to be a bit vague.
Another thing I would like to note, yes please ignore the costume change, is that this video was recorded and originally edited until previous YouTube channel, but pretty much on the 2nd of January of this year, so there is bound to be like loads of contradictions in this video. Like, for instance, you won't be seeing Shakedown on this list whatsoever, because I'd only just started reading Shakedown at that point, and there is bound to be like loads and loads of contradictions in this video, just because of the time that this video was originally recorded. However, I still feel that this video would be very interesting for you guys to see nonetheless, because I did feel like some of my picks in this list were very interesting, such as a very Marmite Doctor Who book has made it into number 5, which in this list, which I think is going to be really interesting for you guys to see. So I'm just going to keep the video as is, because I think you guys are going to still find this video extremely interesting in terms of what picks I've actually made with this video thing. And yeah, even the honourable mentions in this video go on for 7 minutes. 7 freaking minutes. Anyways, enough of the rambling, on to the top 10.
Okay then, so starting off at number 10, we have a 50th anniversary reprint, Dreams of Empire by Justin Richards. A very interesting Doctor Who book in my personal opinion, which had a kind of revolved around chess a lot from what I remember. Because I think there's like the kind of main leader, the Doctor and his companions land on, no, they're actually on asteroids, the Hadron Empire. And I think like the leader of that like chess a lot, so yeah, but Dreams of Empire, fantastic Doctor Who book in my personal opinion. I can't remember a terrible lot about it, but I do remember it being an absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book. I do remember that Justin Richards' depiction of the second Doctor in this book was absolutely fantastic. Really kind of captured his kind of like monkey side kind of wild side to him quite well. Even at some point in this book, I just pictured a monkey running around, which is I just pictured like a monkey running around, which was kind of quite bizarre to see, but at the same time a very good capturing of the. At number 9, we have a Doctor Who book that was actually the first Doctor Who book I ever reviewed on this channel. 10 Little Aliens by Stephen Cole. An extremely dark Doctor Who book this one is. Definitely, it doesn't suit the First Doctor. It's a First Doctor book, but it doesn't suit the First Doctor a lot, this book, because it's extremely violent, and like towards the end people get torn in half and decapitated, which is absolutely horrible, but kind of interesting to see as well, which I thought was nice to see towards the end of this book, because it really did kind of show how powerful the Skier were in which is the aliens in this book. What are kind of villains or slash aliens in this book, and who are the aforementioned 10 Little Aliens in this book. And I do kind of like how violent this book gets towards the end, because it does show how powerful the Skier really are in this book, and it really does show that they are brutal, savage aliens. Another positive this book I found is that the characterization in this book is absolutely incredible. There are some whole sections of this book just like completely dedicated to character development and characterization. Like towards the end of this book, there was a neural net chapter which basically goes into the mind of each and every single one of the characters at that time, and goes into their mind and sees what they are thinking about the current situation, and what their thoughts are towards it, and what they feel like they should do. So yeah, absolutely fantastic characterization and character development in this book, and I'll probably say it is probably the best thing in this book, and I would say Stephen Cole really did do a good job of the characterization and the character development in this book. And overall, 10 Little Aliens is a rather graphic and I guess you would say slightly disturbing Doctor Who book, and it doesn't suit the First Doctor at all really, because it's so graphic and violent, and it's more like a Sixth Doctor novel, because his TV year was more of a violent one, and also especially with like Big Finish audio dramas such as Project Twilight, which had vampires and whatnot, and Jubilee, which also had decapitations in it. So yeah, this book definitely suits more of a 10th, not 10th Doctor, a 6th Doctor story, but I would still absolutely highly recommend 10 Little Aliens. And now we're going to be moving on. At number 8 we have the first of a few Virgin books in this lot, because the Virgin books are absolutely fantastic. So at number 8 is one of the later new adventures, Return of the Living Dad by Kate Warner. A very interesting read this one is. Yeah, like I said, it's a very interesting read this one, and it's more of a character piece as well as a alien invasion type story. So it's more like a character piece, but towards the end it does kind of become a more of an alien invasion type story. So yeah, and I really do recommend Return of the Living Dad. I can't really say too much on it. It's been a little while since I've read this book, but it is one that I think I may revisit and reread in the future. And it's overall a very interesting read, and a very interesting character piece as well, because it's basically one of the character traits of Benny throughout the new adventure is that she's lost her father, and she's been looking for him her whole life, and she eventually finds him in this book. So it's more of a character piece for Denise Summerfield. So if you're not a fan of the character Denise Summerfield, I don't think I would recommend this book because it's a very kind of heavy Denise Summerfield book. But also at the same time it's got some very interesting kind of it's also at the same time a very interesting kind of alien invasion of Earth kind of story, and it does feature with kind of quite a few classic series monsters, such as the Navarino from Delta and the Bannerman, which is very interesting to see. So yeah, overall, Return of the Living Dead, absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book in my personal opinion, and I would highly recommend it. So now we're going to move on to number 7. At number 7 we have Shadow in the Glass by Stephen Cole and Justin Richards. An absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book this one is. Very interesting Doctor Who story this one is. Basically deals with some of these like demon aliens and stuff like that. So like half-glimpsed demons watch from the shadows into the Doctor and basically travel back in time, discover the last and deadliest secret of the Second World War. And very interesting Doctor Who book overall. Such as I really like the concept of the half-glimpsed demons in this novel, and it's one I'm really tempted to reread. And it also plays around with the resurrection of Adolf Hitler, which is pretty interesting and quite fascinating to see. So yeah, overall, Shadow in the Glass, absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book, and was actually one that was so good to the point where I actually got it personally signed by Colin Baker at Belfast Film and Comic Con last year, which was an absolutely fantastic experience, as was this book. So yeah, overall, Shadow in the Glass, absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book. Fantastic little historical story with some elements of science fiction in there, such as the resurrection of Adolf Hitler and the half-glimpsed demons. And so yeah, overall, Shadow in the Glass, absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book, and I'd highly recommend it. And now we're going to be moving on to number 6. At number 6 is a book that I have reviewed, and it is by far and beyond the most popular Doctor Who book review I have on my channel. Last time I checked, it had like 111 views. For some reason I want to say it has 167 views, but the reviews of my review on this book has absolutely loads of views, and I'm of course talking about The Witch Hunters by Steve Lyons, which I said at the time was the most astonishing and powerful Doctor Who book I have ever read. It was very hard to pick this list, and I think this book may be slightly better than what I have picked for my number 5, but I think I enjoy my number 5 pick over this one. However, I still think that this book is better than my number 5 pick, which I think is in a couple of minutes. So yeah, The Witch Hunters by Steve Lyons. Yes, The Witch Hunters by Steve Lyons is an absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book, in my personal opinion. Basically, the Doctor, Barbara, Ian and Susan go back to travel back in time and land in the middle of the Salem witch trials of the 17th century. And basically, Susan becomes very against the Salem witch trials as a whole, and that leads to all sorts of horrible stuff going down. And towards the end of this book is a twist that is, I'm tempted to say, even the best twist I have experienced in Doctor Who history. What happens towards the end of this book is absolutely incredible. It features the Doctor doing something that you would never, ever dream of the Doctor doing, especially the first Doctor. it's an absolutely incredible Doctor Who book. Like I said, I do think my number 5 pick may be slightly. No, I think my number 6. I think this may be slightly behind pick, but I think my number 5 pick, I would choose to reread over this one for whatever reason that may be. Yeah, The Witch Hunters by Steve Lyons, absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book, and I would highly recommend this book. And now, before we move on to my top 5 Doctor Who books, I'm going to be going through some honourable mentions. Starting off the honourable mentions, we have City at World's End by Christopher Bulis. Basically the Inferno story for the first Doctor era. Absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book in my personal opinion. I really do love this book a lot. It's absolutely fantastic, very engaging opening, and this book engages you from start to finish. It's a fantastic Doctor Who book. One I got through in a week. It was that good, and I would highly recommend this book. It's if this list was a little bigger, it would probably get on the list somewhere, but I'm not too sure where. But first honourable mention, City at World's End, which I would highly recommend, along with all of these. I think along with all of these other Doctor Who books that are on my honourable mentions, and all of the books that are in my actual top 10. Next honourable mention is The Devil, Goblins from Neptune, the final Doctor Who book that I read in 2014, and very graphic Doctor Who book. Really good John Pertwee style stories. So I would say if you do like John Pertwee stories, if you're a massive John Pertwee fan, and if you're an absolute die-hard fan of season 7, which I think pretty much everybody is, I would highly recommend this book. This feels like the 5th story to season 7, which is really interesting because like most of the stories from season 7, this book is actually split into episodes, which is very interesting. As you can see just there. Yeah, this has got 7 parts, like Doctor Who the Silurians, Ambassadors of Death, and Inferno. Right, what hell that was. But anyways, absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book, and I highly recommend it, especially if you're a Pertwee fan and a season 7 fan. Next honourable mention is one that I don't think anybody would be surprised to see somewhere on this list, and that is Human Nature. Probably the most iconic Doctor Who book ever. Absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book, which I highly recommend. I think it's a bit overrated, but still good enough to get into my honourable mentions. So yeah, absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book, and I'd highly recommend Human Nature. Again, it's another one that I've reviewed. Next up, we have a rather trippy and psychedelic Doctor Who book, the 100th BBC Doctor Who novel, Mad Dogs and Englishmen by Paul Mars. Fantastic Doctor Who book in my personal opinion. If you're going into this Doctor Who book, I wouldn't take it too seriously. I mean, you can take it with some seriousness, but this isn't the most serious Doctor Who book ever. It does have its is a bit serious in some places, but not that serious in other places as well. If that makes sense. But it's still absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book. Would highly recommend it. So yeah, absolutely fantastic 8th book novel in my personal opinion. Next up we have another 8th Doctor novel, Dreamstone Moon, a bit of a fillery Doctor Who book in my personal opinion. But this is still an absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book in my personal opinion, and I really do like this book a lot, and I would highly recommend Dreamstone Moon. It's got some very interesting concepts in it, such as the Dreamstone Moon itself, which is basically this mineral that possesses some characters in this story, which are very interesting. kind of like I was about to compare it to the Impossible Count and Satan Pit, but I don't think it's on. I don't think it's quite like that. But anyways, Dreamstone Moon, absolutely fantastic book. I highly recommend it. A little bit fillery though. Next up we have in the honourable mentions The Plotters by Gareth Roberts. Absolutely fantastic book in my personal opinion. I really do like this book a lot. It's basically a Clive Fawkes Doctor Who story, which is very interesting, and it's a absolutely fantastic and very well written historical by Gareth Roberts. So I would say if you do like your historical stories, this one is a must. It's absolutely fantastic. Next up we have another 50 anniversary reprint, which almost made this list but not quite. Which almost made the list but not quite. Last of the Gallagher by Mark Gatiss. Absolutely fantastic book to do in my personal opinion. I really do like this one a lot. Like I said with several ones to mention, if you're a massive purple fan, I highly recommend this book. It has all of the elements of purple that you would absolutely love, that you know and love, the units and a whole host of other things. Absolutely fantastic book to do, I highly recommend it. And final honourable mention for this video is another book that almost made onto this list but not quite, because to me this book is a bit overlong and it does drag in some places, and that is the novelisation of Sharda by Gareth Roberts, again by Gareth Roberts. Absolutely fantastic book in my personal opinion. It does drag in some places. I don't think this book should be 400 pages long. I think it should be like maybe a 350 page long book to do book, but it's nothing horrible like this crap here, where it just drags on needlessly. Well, it does drag on needlessly, but its dragginess is still enjoyable, unlike this. To an extent, but it does drag in some places. But anyways, Sharda, fantastic book to book, a little bit draggy in places, but I would highly recommend it. And now we're going to be moving on to my top 5 Doctor Who books with number 5. At number 5, like I said when I was doing number 6, The Witch Hunters. This is one of the Doctor Who books which I think may not be as good as The Witch Hunters, but I think I enjoy this one slightly more than The Witch Hunters, and I would choose this over The Witch Hunters to reread. And that is one Doctor Who book that I am considering getting signed next year at Dimensions. The Roundhead by Mark Gatiss. Absolutely fantastic little historical story in my personal opinion. It's more of a character piece, for like Ben and Polly really, because Jamie and the Doctor don't get to do a lot in this Doctor Who book much, but I still really enjoy this one. I think I may enjoy this a lot because it's basically, if I just get it. Because it is basically a second Doctor version of the Smugglers. Now, I know a lot of people don't actually like the Smugglers a lot, so that's maybe why I wouldn't recommend this book. However, I really do like the Smugglers, and I think that may be kind of why I like this book so much. So I would say, if you're not a fan of the Smugglers, I may recommend giving this book a use, because it is basically the second Doctor version of Smugglers. However, I do think this book may be slightly better than the Smugglers, but I'm not sure. But yeah, The Roundhead by Mark Gatiss. Absolutely fantastic book to book. If you like the historicals, if you like the Smugglers, and if you like your second Doctor books, I would highly recommend this book. So now, and that was number 5, and now we're going to be moving on to number 4 and my top 4 Doctor Who books as of now. There's pretty much nothing separating these Doctor Who books whatsoever, really. I mean, they're all absolutely fantastic, and they may move up the list at any time, really, because we're so good. And so, like, my number 4 may become my number 1 at some point, but if I give it a third read, which I am considering doing, so there's practically nothing separating these Doctor Who books. All of them are absolutely fantastic. But anyways, at number 4 we have the only Doctor Who book in my collection that I have actually read more than once, and that is the Virgin New Adventure, Bad Therapy, by Matthew Jones. Absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book in my personal opinion. Basically a very good kind of end of the world kind of invasion kind of story. And I would say, if you do like your Auton stories, I would highly recommend this one, because it's basically a more apocalyptic Auton story, which is very interesting to see. And the actual monsters in this book, the mannequins, which are those things there, are really interesting monsters, and very much like the Autons themselves. So yeah, I would say, if you do like your Auton stories, I would recommend this one, and if you are a fan of the Virgin New Adventures, I would highly recommend this book, because it's absolutely fantastic, and I've read this one twice. And I would also say, if you do like the companion Christopher Quedge, which I do quite a bit, I would highly recommend this book, because he and the Doctor in this book showed some great kind of emotional chemistry, because the Doctor's friendship with, or Chris's friendship with the Doctor in this book, it really is pushed to breaking point, and he almost wants to leave the Doctor, and he kind of wants to leave the Doctor in this book, which is very interesting to see. So here at number 4 is Bad Therapy by Matt. And now we're moving on to number 3 with a Doctor Who book that ever so slightly missed out on in my top 10 Doctor Who book recommendation, on my Doctor Who book recommendation video, because unfortunately I finished reading this book after that video was finished and uploaded, or after I finished making it. But anyways, at number 3 is a Virgin New Adventure Original Sin by Andy Lane, which is the introductory novel to Rosalind Forrester and Christopher Quedge, probably my 2 favourite book companions. They're absolutely fantastic, and so yeah, absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book in my first opinion. I would say a bit political, because because Rosalind Forrester and Christopher Quedge are law adjudicators on 30th century Earth, and this book does focus on them a lot, because of course it's an introductory novel, and absolutely fantastic read that's written from start to finish. Fantastic opening scene of Christopher Quedge and Rosalind Forrester arresting somebody, I think, and when I started reading this book, I did get spoiled for me a surprise return villain for this book, but that kind of made me curious, even more curious to read this book, and it is actually very, very surprising to see, and it's actually a very, very surprising villain who returned in this book, and a villain from 1960s Doctor Who actually, which is very interesting to see. So if you're into your 1960s Doctor Who, I would really recommend this one, because it shows the return of an absolutely fantastic 1960s villain, one of the best, I would say. So yeah, absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book in my personal opinion, and I would highly recommend it. It's absolutely fantastic fantastic Doctor Who book in my opinion. And now we're going to be moving on to now at number 2 is yet another Virgin book, and that is A Missing Adventure, Romance of Crime by Gareth Roberts. Oh my god, I found this book for £3 and what a bargain that was. What a bargain. Just absolutely astounding Doctor Who book in my opinion. It captures the ridiculousness of like season 16 of Doctor Who, the season with City of Death extremely well, and absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book. It has so many kind of epic elements to it, such as a rocket version of a court, prison, and a place of execution built into a rocket-powered asteroid. And also the character names in this book are absolutely fantastic. Melvin Stokes, I'm trying to get a guy's name. Spigot, that's his name, Spigot. And the villain of this story, Zaius. So yeah, even everything about this book is epic, even the character names such as Zaius and Spigot, and I would recommend this book over the Big Finish adaptation because this book is a lot prettier and a lot more enjoyable than the Big Finish adaptation. So yeah, and I would just highly recommend this book. It's just incredible, an absolutely incredible bit of writing by Gareth Roberts. So at number 2, now at number 1 is a Doctor Who book that may get changed around with my other 3 books from my top 4 list, as I did say earlier on in this video when I was talking about biotherapy. So this may change in the, so this number 1 pick may change in the future with either of those 3. But currently standing at my favourite Doctor Who book of all time is an 8th Doctor novel, Seeing Eye by Jonathan Blum and Kate Norman. Holy crap, this book was just mind-blowing, absolutely fantastic Doctor Who book in my personal opinion. As you know, in the 8th Doctor run of books, there are like overriding overall arcs and things, such as the main arc, which ran from alien bodies to the ancestor cell, was the Faction Paradox arc, and within that arc there was actually mini arcs, one of them being the Finding Sam arc, which also featured, which also had in it Dreamstone Moon. This is the finale to the Finding Sam arc, and it basically reunites the Doctor and Sam. So yeah, and the first half of this book is kind of sorry about that. Very kind of leisurely paced, just kind of building up to what is to come in the second half, and like getting Sam used to her surroundings in the book, and kind of introducing the Doctor into the actual place that he's going to spend most of his time in this book. And but when it does get to the second half eventually, shit starts going absolutely crazy, and it's so good, this book. It's like for most of this book, the Doctor actually, in this book, the Doctor actually becomes imprisoned in a big prison for trespassing, and he's constantly trying to get out of that prison, but because of IMC's mysterious eye implants, he can't get out of the prison, and he's just like bound to the prison, like all eternity pretty much. And after attempts and more attempts of him trying to break out of prison, he literally goes mentally insane, and that is an absolutely fascinating thing to see in this book too. But so yeah, Seeing Eye, I can't recommend this book enough. It is absolutely astounding, this book, and is without question, as of now, my favourite Doctor Who book. And that finally concludes my top 10 Doctor Who books. My original top 10 classic series original novels. So like, comment, subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was a lot of fun to make. Pitch God Black, the Maximum.